The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime on the 23rd floor. Marcus stepped out, carrying a slim laptop bag over one shoulder and a coffee he hadn't finished yet. He wore a navy windbreaker, khakis that had seen one too many laundromat cycles, and old Adidas sneakers. His hair was cropped close, with a bit of gray at the temples, and he moved with the relaxed ease of someone used to long corridors and lukewarm conference coffee. The office lobby was glass and chrome, designed to impress. A young receptionist looked up from behind the desk, her smile automatic but fading slightly as she scanned him. "Maintenance is usually after hours," she said, not unkind, just certain. Marcus stopped. "Sorry." She motioned to his ID badge, still clipped to his bag. "If you need to access anything, I can call one of the floor managers." He looked down, took a breath. "No need," he said calmly. "I've got a meeting with the executive team." She hesitated. "Are you sure you're in the right building?" Marcus didn't answer. Instead, he turned slightly, looking toward the wide glass conference room at the end of the hallway. Through it, he could see 3 men in dress shirts and 1 woman in a sharp suit standing around a large screen. One of them checked his watch. Another laughed. Marcus recognized the PowerPoint slide on display. It was his. "I'm sure," Marcus said. Then he started walking. Inside the conference room, someone muttered, "He's late," just as Marcus pushed the door open. The laughter died instantly, for pairs of eyes turned toward him, scanning the windbreaker, the khakis, the bag that wasn't leather. The woman, the one in the tailored suit, spoke first. "Sorry, this meeting's for our audit presentation. Are you with facilities?" Marcus paused. No irritation, no change in his expression. "I'm Marcus Reed, the lead consultant." Silence. Then a man in a gray blazer, the one who just made the late comment, straightened up in his chair. "You're with StratEdge?" Marcus nodded once, setting his coffee down on the table, then opening his laptop. The screen lit up with the same slide they'd been staring at. Their names were listed on it. His name was in bold at the top. "I know this isn't what you were expecting," he said, his voice steady, "but I've read every financial statement your division has filed in the last 24 months. And the reason I'm here today is because the board has questions." Nobody spoke. Behind him, through the glass, the receptionist stood just outside the doorway, watching. She didn't look so certain anymore. No one had moved. Marcus could feel the tension, but he didn't react to it. He didn't need to. The man in the gray blazer, his name tag said, Nathan, recovered first. "Of course. My apologies," he said, forcing a chuckle. "Just wasn't expecting. So casual." Marcus looked up from his laptop. "Casual dress doesn't make the data any less accurate." Nathan smiled thinly and looked away. The woman in the suit, Ellen, according to her badge, leaned forward. "So you're the one the board sent to look at our processes?" "I am," Marcus said. "And from what I've seen so far, we need to talk about more than just processes." She bristled slightly but didn't interrupt. Marcus continued. "Expense misallocations, inconsistent vendor approvals, bonuses issued without clear performance benchmarks." Nathan shifted in his chair. "I'm not here to catch people out," Marcus said, "but I will be direct. That's what I was hired to do." From the corner of his eye, he noticed the receptionist retreat down the hallway. Ellen folded her hands. "Let's hear your findings." Marcus gave a single nod and clicked to the next slide. The numbers appeared, cold and undeniable. Now they were listening. Marcus pointed to a chart on the screen. "This spike in discretionary spending is not tied to any approved campaign. Your Q2 budget doubled, and no one signed off above regional." Ellen didn't blink. "We hit all our quarterly goals." "You did," Marcus agreed, "but with funds that weren't authorized. That's not growth, that's exposure." Nathan let out a small scoff. "With all due respect, we've had outside consultants before. None of them understood how this division operates." Marcus turned to him, calm. "Maybe they didn't ask the right questions." There was a beat of silence. Then Marcus added, "Or maybe they looked like who you expected." Nathan opened his mouth, then closed it. Ellen leaned back, crossing her arms. "So what exactly are you proposing?" "Internal compliance training, a full vendor audit, and a review of all executive discretionary accounts," Marcus said. "Starting with yours." Her eyes narrowed slightly. Outside the glass wall, another employee had stopped to watch. Inside, the room felt smaller, less certain. But Marcus wasn't here for comfort. He was here to finish what he started. Nathan leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. You're implying there's misconduct. That's a serious accusation. Marcus didn't flinch. I'm not implying anything. I'm reading what's in the reports. Ellen tapped a pen against her notepad, the sound sharp in the quiet room. This feels more like a courtroom than a consultation. Maybe, Marcus said, still calm. But unlike a courtroom, everything you need to defend yourselves is already in the system. You signed it. The third man, silent until now, finally spoke. His name was Raj. What happens if we push back on this? If we take it to the board? Marcus looked directly at him. Then I'll meet you there. With a copy of this, he tapped the folder on the table, and the rest of the findings, including the flagged vendor tied to a relative of one of your team. Raj blinked but said nothing more. Ellen sat back, her jaw tightening. Marcus didn't raise his voice, didn't gloat. He just waited. The room, so confident 30 minutes ago, now moved differently, like a table slowly tipping, and no one was sure how to catch what might fall. And Marcus, he wasn't moving. He was giving them the chance to. Ellen spoke first, her voice clipped. We've never had an issue with compliance. Not one formal complaint in 5 years. Marcus met her eyes. Not having complaints doesn't mean there's nothing wrong. Can also mean people know complaints don't go anywhere. She exhaled sharply through her nose but didn't respond. Nathan tried a different angle. You've got a job to do, I get it. But these audits, they're always political. People trying to make examples. You don't know what we're balancing here. Marcus looked down at the table for a second, then back up. I do, he said quietly. I've spent 20 years walking into rooms like this one. Rooms where people assume I'm there to fix the lights or deliver lunch. I know exactly what you're balancing. And I know what it's cost the people beneath you. That hit. Nathan didn't answer. Raj was still staring at the folder. Marcus stood slowly, gathering the papers. I'll give you the rest of the afternoon to review what I've outlined. Tomorrow we talk about accountability. He slid his laptop back into his bag, zipped it without hurry. Ellen watched him walk to the door, her expression unreadable. Right before Marcus stepped out, he paused and turned. And if you're wondering, he said, this isn't political. Then simply, it's personal. The door clicked shut behind Marcus. Inside the conference room, the silence didn't last. It never does. Nathan was the first to speak. That guy's got an agenda. Ellen didn't answer. Raj finally looked up from the folder. He wasn't wrong, though. About the vendor. That name. It's my cousin's firm. Nathan shot him a look. You didn't think to mention that earlier? I didn't think it mattered. We've used them for years. Ellen leaned forward, her voice low. It matters now. The tone in the room had shifted. What had started as condescension was turning into something else. The kind of nervous calculation people do when they realize the rules just changed, and they're already behind. Out in the hallway, Marcus walked past the front desk. The receptionist glanced up again. This time, no comments, no assumptions, just silence. She gave a small nod. He didn't return it. Not yet. Marcus stepped into the elevator, pressed the button for the ground floor, and let the doors close without a word. He didn't sigh. He didn't shake his head. He just stood there, quiet. At the lobby, a man in a charcoal suit was waiting by the windows. Mid-40s, clean-cut, a company badge clipped to his belt. He spotted Marcus and walked over quickly. Mr. Reed, he said, extending a hand. I'm James, board liaison. Marcus shook it, firm but brief. I've been following the live notes, James said, tapping the tablet in his hand. That was a strong start. It wasn't the start, Marcus replied. That was the middle. The start was 3 months ago when the board called me after the last regional whistleblower got reassigned to a different state. James winced. We're hoping to avoid that kind of fallout this time. Marcus looked at him for a moment. That depends on how honest you want to be about what's happening on that floor. James opened his mouth, then paused. You think it's that bad? Marcus's voice stayed quiet. I think people who don't get checked start believing they never will. James nodded, slowly. Behind them, through the tall glass, the city moved like nothing had happened. But inside this building, everything was starting to. By noon the next day, an internal memo had been sent out. Subject line, Division Audit, Immediate Compliance Action Required. It had Marcus's name on it. It had the board's name, too. It requested, no, required, full cooperation with the ongoing audit and immediate access to all departmental records, including expense accounts and third-party contracts. Some skimmed it, some read every line twice. Everyone knew what it meant. On the 23rd floor, the air was different. Desks were quieter, emails shorter. People were avoiding eye contact. In the break room, Nathan poured himself a coffee and didn't speak to anyone. A few glanced his way, waiting for him to say something. He didn't. Across the floor, Raj stood at his cubicle, deleting messages, archiving others. His fingers hovered over one particular email from 6 months ago, a forwarded contract with no paper trail. He closed the window instead, and Ellen sat in her office, door half closed, staring at her monitor. She wasn't typing. She wasn't reading. She was just thinking. The kind of thinking people do when they realize something's finally caught up with them. At 3:15 p.m., Marcus returned. No fanfare. No assistant. Just him. He walked the length of the hallway slowly, glancing through the glass panels as he passed. Some people looked up. Most looked away. He stopped outside Ellen's office. She looked up before he knocked. "Got a minute?" he asked. She nodded, gesturing to the seat across from her. Marcus sat, set his folder down on the table, and waited a second before speaking. "I'm not here to embarrass anyone." Ellen folded her hands. "You're doing a good job of it anyway." He didn't smile. "This isn't about embarrassment. It's about clarity. You're smart, Ellen. You've held this team together for a long time. But somewhere along the way you stopped checking the lines you crossed." She didn't deny it. "I want you to stay on," Marcus said. "But only if you're ready to be part of what comes next. No more quiet favors. No more protecting people who shouldn't be protected." Ellen's voice was quiet. "And if I'm not? Then we write that into the final report." They sat there in silence. Not tense. Not friendly. Just real. Then Ellen nodded once. "I'll need a day," she said. "You have until tomorrow morning." Marcus stood and left the office without another word. In the next room over, someone had stopped pretending to type. By the next morning, word had spread. Not through emails or meetings, but in the way people moved. More careful. More deliberate. The office felt quieter, but heavier too. Like the weight of things unsaid was finally being noticed. Marcus arrived just after 8. No laptop this time, just a notepad and pen. He stopped by 3 different departments, brief chats, quiet observations. Not evaluating reports today. Just people. In the finance pod, a junior analyst named Lisa glanced up as he walked by. She'd been there for 2 years. Everyone liked her. No one ever listened to her. Now she looked like maybe that was changing. Near the elevators, Raj waited. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice low. Marcus nodded and followed him into a side room. "I disclosed the vendor relationship to Nathan," Raj said, not making excuses, just stating a fact. "He told me not to put it in writing. Said it'd complicate things." Marcus didn't look surprised. "I have a copy of the early invoices," Raj added. "If you need them." Marcus finally spoke. "I will." They didn't shake hands. They didn't need to. Back in the hallway, a woman from legal was walking with purpose. 2 of the senior managers had closed their office doors. People weren't fighting it anymore. They were adjusting. Nathan wasn't adjusting. At 11:42 a.m., he walked straight into Marcus's temporary office. No knock, just the sound of the door hitting the wall. Marcus didn't flinch. He looked up from his notes and waited. "You're setting this place on fire," Nathan said. "And for what? To look like a hero?" Marcus stood slowly, calm. "You think that's what this is about?" "I think you came in here looking for a fight," Nathan snapped. "And you picked the biggest target in the room." Marcus held his gaze. "I didn't pick anyone. You made yourself the target when you stopped thinking accountability applied to you." Nathan laughed once, sharp. "You think you're better than us? Walking in here like you're untouchable?" Marcus stepped around the desk, just 1 step closer. His voice didn't rise. "I walk into places like this and get mistaken for the janitor. Or the guy who delivers sandwiches. I've done more listening in lobbies than some of you have done in your entire careers. So no, this isn't about being better." He paused. "It's about being tired of pretending I don't see it." Nathan's face was flushed now. "You're not going to win this." Marcus didn't smile. "I already have." He motioned toward the door. Nathan didn't move at first. Then, slowly he turned and left. Not a word. Not a glance back. That afternoon, Marcus sat at the head of the main conference table. Not for a confrontation this time, but a briefing. The room was full senior managers, legal, compliance, and 2 board members dialing in. He didn't start with numbers. He started with a sentence. "This department has operated for years on assumption," he said. "Assumptions about who belongs where, who gets questioned, who gets trusted." No one interrupted. "I wasn't sent here to punish anyone. I was sent to see what the structure was hiding. And the truth is, it was hiding people. The quiet ones, the overlooked ones, and a whole lot of risk." He opened the folder and slid it across the table. Inside, the final report. Clean, precise, unflinching. Nathan's name was flagged in 3 sections. Ellen's in 2. Raj's in 1 with a notation. Disclosed voluntarily. Corrective measures taken. Marcus looked around the room. There will be consequences. But there will also be change. The board members on the call didn't speak. They didn't have to. Everyone knew the shift had already begun. By the end of the week, 2 resignations had been submitted. Nathan's was first. No surprise. No farewell email. Just a quiet box carried down the hallway by someone else, and a locked door behind him. Ellen's came a day later, but hers was different. She handed it to Marcus in person. "I'm not leaving to escape it," she said. "I'm leaving because I've been part of the problem too long to pretend I can lead the change." Marcus studied her for a moment, then nodded. "That took more honesty than most." She gave a faint smile. "Wish I'd found it sooner." "You still can," Marcus said. "Just somewhere else." They didn't hug. They didn't shake hands. She just walked out quietly, her heels echoing down the hall like punctuation. People watched, but no one said a word. Not because they didn't care. Because they understood. The following Monday, the 23rd floor felt different. Cleaner, somehow. Not in the way a space looks after it's vacuumed, but in the way it feels when the weight of silence isn't protecting the wrong people anymore. Marcus stood near the window, watching as employees filed in. Some still cautious, others moving with a little more ease. Lisa, the junior analyst, passed him with a soft "good morning." He nodded back. Nothing more. Behind him, the new interim manager was settling into Ellen's old office. Someone from legal was already reviewing onboarding protocols. A poster was being printed, anonymous reporting policy, large font, plain language. No slogans, just structure. Marcus took one last look around. His part here was done. He walked to the elevator and stepped in. As the doors began to close, the receptionist, same one who'd misread him that first morning, caught his eye. This time, she stood and said, quietly, "Thanks." He gave a small nod. Not for thanks, for recognition. The doors closed without a sound, and Marcus Reed, the man they once assumed didn't belong, left behind a place that now knew what belonging should actually look like. Not because he demanded it, because he revealed what happens when you finally stop pretending not to see.